Good morning. We are in Savannah, Georgia. You see the hotel behind us here, the Hampton Inn and Suites on Oglethorpe, which, if you just watched our previous video, which was the hotel review, you get to see what the hotel looks like. So now we're actually going to go out and go explore the city. There's 22 squares here, 24 originally. We're going to go check those out along with some other stuff up by the river and see what we can find.
Do you want to say hi?
Hi everybody! I'm so excited to be in Savannah, Georgia, and it's Christmas break. I have to go to school for 17 more days.
Woo! Alright.
Hi guys, this is the Albert Square. It's the first square.
Albert Square, there's not really much left of it anymore. It kind of was lost to urban sprawl when the buildings around you that you can see here were built, so they kind of lost the space. It's named Albert Square. It's named after Samuel Albert, who was a Revolutionary War hero and also a former Georgia governor. There's not much really, it's just a couple little benches and a tree, but let's go on and find the next one. Alright, as you can see, we've made it to our second square, known as Liberty Square. Liberty Square is literally just this little grounds that are right here and a parking facility. Liberty Square was built in 1799 to honor the Revolutionary War heroes from Savannah known as the Liberty Boys. The Liberty Boys were instrumental in setting the stage for Georgia's involvement in the American Revolution. Unfortunately, the square has not survived growth of the city. Ooh, somebody's coming out of the Escape Company's Hideaway Lounge. They're coming out very slowly. Somebody's making their escape from the cellar. Must have been some kind of meeting going on down there about something. Alright, we made it to our next square here. This is Franklin Square. Franklin Square was built in 1791 and it was named after, you guessed it, Benjamin Franklin. This square is the biggest one we've come to so far, so I'm going to kind of walk through the square here with you. There's a lot more stuff to look at in this one. There's some benches. There's a nice statue up here, which I'll go around the other side so we can get a better look at it. Let's see what we can see here. It's talking about the Battle of Savannah in 1779. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool square here. Here we've made it to our fourth square, which is Ellis Square. Ellis Square is one of the bigger ones. It's a bigger open area, as you can see here. Ellis Square, we were here previously in the summertime and there was like a lot of people playing music here and it was kind of a lot of people around here, but this time it's a little more serene, I guess, just because of the chilly weather. But it's a good place. You can see there's little kids running around. Just a good place to come and walk your dog, that kind of stuff. The statue of the guy you see here, this is John Herndon, Johnny Mercer. He was a songwriter. He wrote over 1,400 songs, with his most famous song being Moon River. He was a co-founder of Capitol Records, and his statue's here in Ellis Square in Savannah. So now we're at the corner of Houston and Bryan Street, which is where Washington Square is. Washington Square was built in 1790 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. And it's said that some of the houses that surround this square are some of the oldest houses in the whole city of Savannah. There's no monuments here to Washington, just some trees, a little bit of open space to run around, walk your dog, and some pathways to walk on. Very beautiful place. Alright, so this square is called Warren Square, which is named for General Joseph Warren, who was killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill during the Revolutionary War. This square was built in 1791 as well, just like a couple of the other ones we've seen today. And I didn't capture the sign. The sign must be on the other side. Oh, it is there. It's right there, but it's covered like in moss. Let me go see if I can find it. I always like to have the sign at the beginning, and I just didn't notice it. I walked right past it. Let's see. Sorry, I'm taking down the little tour of the gardens here. Oh, there it is. Warren Square, decorated with its bow. Right there. So beautiful. Such a pretty place to walk around. So this next square that we're in right here is called Reynolds Square. This one is old. This square was designed in 1733. It was named for Georgia's first royal governor, John Reynolds. It says in the center stands a monument to John Wesley, the founder of Methodism and the Anglican minister of the colony in 1736. I'm gonna go look at that statue in just a second here. And let's go check out the statue here of Mr. Wesley. Here he is. He lived from 1703 to 1791. Minister of the Church of England in Savannah for 2 years, 1736, 1737. This guy was here almost 300 years ago. If you're a history person, Savannah, Georgia is definitely a place to come check out because there's so much history here. You can just feel it when you're walking the streets. There's another sign here talking about the Trinity, Wesley Chapel Trinity. Alright, I'm just coming this way because I want to get a picture of the sign here for Reynolds Square. Reynolds Square. And then from here, we're going to walk up this way, just a block or so. And that's where Leopold's is, the ice cream shop. We're going to stop there, I believe, and have some lunch. Alright, so we've came to our next square here. This one is called Green Square. Green Square was developed in 1799 to honor General Nathaniel Greene, who was another Revolutionary War hero who fought against the British here in Savannah, Georgia. Very, very pretty. I love all the houses that border these squares. They're so cool. I mean, look at that. Looks like something straight out of a movie. Which there have been several movies filmed here in Savannah. Most famously, the famous scene on the bench was from Forrest Gump. Alright, so our next square that we got here, you see there's a little gazebo, there's basketball court, guys playing basketball. This is Crawford Square. Crawford Square was built in 1841, was named in honor of William Harrison Crawford, who was the Minister of France during the reign of Napoleon. Like I said, so much history in this city, you gotta love it. On to the next one. 1812 Wesley Chapel. Savannah Methodist First Church building was erected on this corner of Lincoln and South Broad, which is now known as Oglethorpe Streets, in 1812 by its first ever pastor, Reverend James Russell. I wonder if that's connected to Wesley Chapel, Florida. There's a place down in Florida called Wesley Chapel. I just wonder, is this original place connected to that somehow? Columbia Square. And Columbia Square was designed in 1799 and named Columbia, which was the female personification of the United States of America. In the center sits a fountain from the Wormslow Plantation, which was an early Savannah settlement. And then the famous Davenport House and the Kehoe House are also located on this square. Let's go check out this fountain. This is another one of the squares that's a little decorated for Christmas, and it's got the typical benches over here to sit and the beautiful big trees. And then it's got this nice fountain in the middle of it. I'm just thankful you guys are all watching and hopefully enjoying these videos. I love Savannah. I highly recommend coming to this city. It's an amazing place to come and hang out and walk around for sure. Oh wow, look at this tree branch. Do I have to duck? Do I have to duck? Yes, I do. I did not want to get decapitated. Here comes the old town trolleys, which if you've traveled a lot, especially in the southeastern U.S., you've seen these trolleys in St. Augustine, you've seen them in Key West, we've seen them a couple of places throughout the United States, but we just decided to walk everywhere. They're good tours, they're informative, they take you all over the city, so if walking isn't the best thing physically for you, if it's not the best thing for you, definitely I recommend the trolley tours. They're not too expensive, unless if you got a huge family. They're not too expensive, usually pretty affordable, and the pass is good for the entire day. So if you get up and get out early and take advantage of the time, it just makes it worth it for somebody who's not able to get around the city as well, if you have walking issues and stuff, because Savannah is definitely a lot of walking. The houses and everything here are just so beautiful, so beautiful. Excuse me. This is our next square here. Let's see. Any guesses as to what this one's gonna be? Anybody? Anybody at all? This is one of the famous ones here. This is Oglethorpe Square. Oglethorpe Square was designed in 1742 in honor of James Edward Oglethorpe, who was the founder of the city of Savannah, which was Georgia's first city. In the center sits a marker to the Moravians who arrived in Savannah in 1735, which was current-day Czech Republic. In the center. I don't know what they're talking about because I don't see anything in the center here. Huh. It's just a pretty open space. But it's nice. Oglethorpe was the one who came up with the idea to put the squares and design Savannah in the format that it's in currently, and it's kind of one of those mysteries that we'll never know. People have theories as to why he designed Savannah the way he did, what inspired him to do it, because he was a guy who had absolutely no planning skills when it came to the city design, any of that kind of stuff. So for him to design a city that to this day in 2020, all these hundreds of years later, is still one of the most beautiful cities in the world, he definitely had the right idea. I don't know what his vision was, but his vision was awesome. I wish more cities were set up this way. All right, our next square here is Wright Square. Wright Square was designed in 1733 and was named for Sir James Wright, who was Georgia's third and final colonial governor before they became a state. The monument in the square honors William Washington Gordon, who was an early mayor of Savannah and established the Central of Georgia Railroad. The large boulder marks the grave of Tamochichi, an Indian chief who welcomed James Oglethorpe and the first colonists to this area. Wow, this one used to be named for John Percival, who was the Earl of Egmont, who played a large part in founding the colony of Georgia. It was later changed to Wright Square, who was a royal governor of Georgia. Huh, so this one's had gone through a name change over the years. Interesting. Church bells. Okay, we went into the little soda pop shop. What kind of ice cream did you get?
Chocolate mint.
Chocolate mint? Ooh, it looks delicious. Is it good?
Uh-huh.
It's good stuff, huh?
Uh-huh.
I'm glad you got your ice cream and you like it. It's not too cold for ice cream today?
Nope.
If I had ice cream, I'd be freezing. Oh, well, yeah, this was... Alright, good stuff, good stuff. Enjoy it, okay?
Hello.
We've made it to Johnson Square. Someone's playing the saxophone here. Johnson Square was designed in 1733 and named for Robert Johnson, the royal governor of South Carolina, when Georgia was founded. Johnson Square was the first of Savannah's 24 original squares. And then in its center stands a monument to Nathaniel Greene, who we saw Green Square earlier. This is the monument for him. He was a Revolutionary War hero and a Savannah patriot.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so what you're looking at here, this is City Hall in Savannah. If you notice, it has a gold dome on the top because the original capital of Georgia was in Savannah, so this was the Capitol building, which now it's a City Hall, which has got to be one of the fancier city halls I've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Usually City Halls, you shake your head. You're not on video!
I said yeah.
But yeah, it's a very, very fancy looking City Hall. Very, very cool here. The building is to the right of it. It's kind of behind those trees there. Was the old Cotton Exchange building. So we've made it to another square here. We've made it to Lafayette Square. Lafayette Square was designed in 1873 to honor the Marquis de Lafayette, who aided Americans during the Revolutionary War. And in the center of this, there's a fountain here, which we're walking towards. And it's just a typical green space here in Savannah, with all of the trees and everything. Nice here. Get to our next square here, which is Troop Square. I think that's how you pronounce it. It says Troop Square was designed in 1851 and named in honor of General Michael Troop, a senator and governor of Georgia. And there's, in the center of this stands the armillary sphere, which is an astronomical device designed to show the relationship among the celestial circles. That sounds interesting. I'm gonna go this way. this way and check this thing out here in the middle. Sounds interesting. Wow, look at this thing. It has little turtles at the bottom, and all the little turtles are wearing Santa hats. How cool is that? I wonder who puts the little Santa hats on the turtles. Is it the city? Is it a local resident? Who knows? It's kind of cool either way. Yeah, so now if we walk in this direction, it'll be our next square over here. So this is Troop Square. Another simple little place. It's almost, each one of these is almost like a little park in each neighborhood with benches, nice shade, very peaceful. Gotta love it. Whitefield Square. Whitefield Square was built and designed in 1851. It was actually the last of the Savannah squares that you're seeing today. It's the last of the ones that was built. It was named to honor the Reverend George Whitefield, who was the founder of the Bethesda Orphanage, which is the oldest orphanage in the United States. And as you can see in the middle here, there's a gazebo, which I'm gonna walk over to. And it's just Victorian architecture, which is prominent in this area, so they did the gazebo the same way. I just got plopped in the head with an acorn. See all these acorns down here that are falling? One caught me right there. This is the last of the square, so there's no more in that direction. Just back to the west, back towards the center of the city is where we are heading. Oh, look at this building. I'm gonna get the picture of this. This is nice. One door is blue, one door is red. That's interesting. Calhoun Square is at the corner of Abercorn and Wayne Streets. Calhoun Square was designed in 1851 and named in honor of John C. Calhoun, who was a South Carolina statesman and vice president under John Quincy Adams and under Andrew Jackson. He was vice president for two different people. Calhoun Square is the only square where all the original historic buildings remain, which means all these buildings you see surrounding the square are the originals. And it's the only one that's that way, where nothing's been renovated, nothing's been torn down. I'm gonna go around the square here so you can see all of the buildings, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool that these are all the originals. So all these buildings date back to the original square date. This is Monterey Square. Monterey Square was designed in 1847 and was named to commemorate the 1846 Battle of Monterey during the Mexican-American War. There was a battle of the Mexican War in which Savannah unit of the Irish Jasper Greens fought. The square's monument honors Casimir Pulaski, who was a Polish nobleman who was mortally wounded during the siege of Savannah while fighting for the Americans. So that's the Pulaski Monument there, here in the middle of Monterey Square. And Mr. Pulaski got himself a nice monument here in the city for sure. Beautiful. And there's a little storyboard about him. He was a Polish patriot to whose memory this monument is erected while mortally wounded approximately 1/2 mile northwest of this spot during the assault by the French and American forces on the British lines surrounding Savannah. October 9th, 1779 is when he was mortally wounded. Comes another one of the trolley tours by. This is the one that's called Old Savannah Tours. There's two companies here who do these tours. This is Old Savannah. The other ones are the orange ones that you saw in the earlier part of the video, which is the old time trolley. All right, we've made it to our next square. This is Chatham Square. Chatham Square was designed in 1847 and was named in honor of William Pitt, who was the Earl of Chatham. Pitt, not to be confused with Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld, Pitt was an early supporter of the colony, and though he never visited Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County and Chatham Square were named in his honor just because he was such an early supporter of the colony of Georgia. And this one doesn't have any sort of monuments, it doesn't look like. It's just kind of an open space. One thing we've noticed here is we've been walking around Savannah the last 3 days. One thing we've noticed is there's a lot of people who walk dogs here. There's a lot of people who must own dogs or just visit with dogs or a combination thereof, because it seems like every third person or fourth person we see has a dog. So it's a good dog walking city. This is about Lewis B. Toomer, who was the founder of Carver State Bank. Lewis Burke Toomer, who was an African-American leader, local bank founder, and realtor, was born in Savannah in 1897. Raised and educated locally, Toomer established the Georgia Savings and Realty Corporation on February 23, 1927, in historic black business district on West Broad Street. During segregation, the company provided banking, investment, and insurance services for blacks who were not always allowed to access the white establishments. Thank God we've moved past those days. In 1947, the name of the corporation changed to the Carver Savings Bank, and it was converted to a state-supervised savings bank. Wow. Toomer died in 1961, and a bronze sundial was erected in his honor in 1964 in Chatham Square. And here's the sundial right here. Here's the sundial that was made for him right here. Alright, we've made it to our next square, which is Pulaski Square. Sign's kind of hidden here again. I'll tell you more about Pulaski Square in just a minute, because there's a horse and buggy going by me. Alright, Pulaski Square was designed in 1837 and is named in honor of Count Casimir Pulaski of Poland, whose monument we saw in a previous square. He was the highest foreign-ranking officer to die during the American Revolution. Pulaski fell during the Siege of Savannah in the year 1779. So see, when the American Revolution was being fought, it wasn't just the patriots, the colonists that were fighting. There was also help from some other places overseas where it was in their best interest to try to knock down the power that England had at the time, try to keep them from expanding their power everywhere. Other places had vested interests, so sometimes they sent their officers and their military to help, which you see with even modern day warfare. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's a joint effort to take out who is perceived to be the wrong person in power. But this is Pulaski Square. Thank you, Mr. Pulaski, for helping. Otherwise, this great country, the United States, may not be here if it wasn't for service and the service of those of you in similar situations. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the tour of all these squares here. Highly recommended to come to Savannah and do this walking tour yourself. Check my video out maybe for some tips. Maybe which order you want to go in. Us, we were doing this over 2 days. We didn't do all the squares in one day because it got dark the first day. We did about a little over half. And then we're finishing the second half up today on our last day in town. Alright, we've made it to our next square here, which is Orleans Square, which the sign is missing. Might be on the other side of the square, which it looks like it is, and I gotta walk over there anyway, so the sign will be at the end of this one. So this is Orleans Square. It has a fountain in the middle, as you can see. Orleans Square, the fountain this one was designed in 1812. The fountain, the square was dedicated in 1989, so actually the fountain's not that old, by Savannah's German Society to recognize the contributions to Savannah's early days and early German immigrants. So the fountain's there in behalf of their memory. But this is Orleans Square, which is funny. Orleans is French, but then you got a German fountain in the middle. And like I said, I was going to end this square with the sign instead of starting it. This one was backwards. Sorry, Orleans. Your sign's missing on the other side. The next square is Telfair Square. Telfair Square was named for a former 3-time governor of the state of Georgia and someone who was a patron to the arts in this area, which the Savannah College of Art and Design, also known as SCAD, S-C-A-D, is all around this area where Telfair Square is at. So appropriately enough, they named this one after former Governor Telfair. This one doesn't have anything at all in the middle. And this square smells like a skunk. A skunk must have just went through here and sprayed, because that area back there really smelled like a skunk. Thank God we're wearing masks, right? This square just has open green space in the middle. This is a good park to come and run in with your kids or your dogs. And Telfair Square is one of the more further to the top. As you can see, we're getting out of the residential area, getting into more of the commercial area where there's businesses and restaurants around here. Alright, I've made it to my next square here, which is Chippewa Square. Chippewa Square was designed in 1815 and named to commemorate the Battle of Chippewa from the War of 1812. And then in the center stands a bronze statue of the colony's founder, which was General James Edward Oglethorpe. He faces south. A statue over here, which I'm going to show you, he faces south, protecting Savannah from the Spanish in Florida from invasion. So that's how they put his statue up here. As you can see, Oglethorpe's facing to the south. He's the one who founded the colony of Georgia and set up Savannah with all the squares as we see him and still love him today. This is a pretty square. I like this one. It's one of my favorites. We made it to what is our final square on our square tour here, which is Madison Square. Madison Square was designed in 1837 to honor, you guessed it, James Madison, the 4th president of the United States. And it says in the center of this stands a statue for Sergeant William Jasper, who fell during the siege of Savannah in 1779. A granite marker denotes the southern line of the British defense during the battle. So let's see if we can find this granite marker. And this is the same kind of typical square with the benches. Ooh, church bells. It's because it's 12 o'clock. I think this might be the granite marker where they were saying where the British stood. This might be it. Let's see. Yeah, it says through this square ran the southern line of defenses of the British who held Savannah from December 29th, 1778 to July 11th, 1782. After a siege of 22 days, at the dawn of October 9th, 1779, the strong western defenses on the line of the present West Broad Street were assaulted by 3,500 French troops under Charles Hector, Count d'Estaing, who had come to Savannah flushed with his recent victories at St. Vincent and Grenada, and 1,500 Georgia, South Carolina, and Continental troops under the Major General Benjamin Lincoln. So this is where everything happened here. Right in this square is where a huge battle in the Battle of Savannah happened. Oh, northwest of the spot on Liberty and West Broad Street began the Augusta Road, which is one of the oldest roads in the state of Georgia. Huh. This was the last of our squares that we just went through. This kind of concludes our square tour of Savannah. Hope you enjoyed seeing all of the squares as we walk through them and kind of give you a little bit of history of each one as well. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps us. It helps our channel grow. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. See you soon.